Well, we're used to visiting Mazda's HQ and walking through the front door, but this morning, ushered in through the back door into the workshop where we are seeing two prototypes of the new generation Mazda BT-50 Ute. This is very exciting stuff. We've been waiting a really long time to see this thing. Obviously it's very top secret and you know exactly why. This design is completely different to the BT-50 that we know now. It comes on an all-new platform, it's produced with an all-new partner, and that design, absolutely, completely different to what we know. Up front we see this really big flat face. Looks a little bit like a Mazda CX-9 maybe, but then you've got some, is it CX-30 sort of styling on the headlights? It's quite a nice mix. Definitely looks a lot tougher than the Mazda BT-50 that we know right now. It's a lot squarer, got a big grille, bit of aggressive folds and lines here, and obviously this bonnet's got a couple of different crease lines moving up through it. All right, so what we're looking at here is the top spec Mazda BT-50 model, at least as we know it right now. Specifications, details, all yet to be confirmed, but we know this will arrive later this year. We also know that this ute has been developed by Isuzu for their next generation D-Max ute. But this isn't badge re-engineering. We're seeing completely different body panels. This looks like a Mazda. It doesn't look anything like the Isuzu ute. Great differentiation there. However, underneath, we've got the same platform. Underneath the bonnet, we've got the same 3-litre, 4-cylinder turbo diesel engine. And that's been pumped up a little bit by Isuzu for this next generation of ute. It produces 140 kilowatts of power and 450 newton meters of torque. In the Isuzu, we know that's mated to a 6-speed automatic and to a 6-speed manual. We'll see exactly what the specs are going to be for this Mazda ute. Otherwise, you've got a 4x4 system, 4 high, 4 low, hill descent control, rear diff lock, a lot of different specs that we've seen on the Isuzu. But I have to stress, we can only talk about the Isuzu specs there because Mazda will confirm with us what their specs will be. What we do know is this has an over 1 tonne payload capacity and has a 3.5 tonne brake towing capacity, so it should meet all those requirements that you're expecting. And this new partnership that Mazda has with Isuzu is going to prove really beneficial. These two companies, both quartered in Japan, have been working together for decades in the past. And on this ute, Mazda was absolutely able to get everything it's needed to fit into this ute to fit all of its requirements. That means all of the latest safety assistance technology and everything you'd expect in the cabin. I mean, we'll have a look inside the interior soon, but you'll see that everything that's designed, it just feels like it's a Mazda. They're not hamstrung by any constraints. They haven't been hamstrung to fit in any of the safety technology that they need underneath the skin. Really impressive. But anyway, let's have a look at the back of this car. Yeah, well, okay, it's a dual cab ute, so it's not the most exciting thing to look at from the rear, but still we've got a fuel cap over here on the passenger side, LED tail lights, different design. I think it looks a little more squared off than the old BT-50 ute. We've also got a side step down here just for making stepping up a little bit easier. And the tailgate itself, well, it's not soft close, it's just your standard closer, and can't see any 12-volt charging points anywhere there, and no work light. So pretty simple. A little bare bones in the back, but it does look like quite a big tray. Now, we don't have a reference point with the previous generation BT-50, so I can't tell you, but it definitely looks a lot deeper. Sits up pretty high. Looks like it's got a lot of room in there. You probably fit a pallet in straight between those two wheel arches, so looks like a really practical utilitarian tray. Now, of course, we can't actually drive this model yet, and these are prototypes. However, I can have a look at my favorite thing about this car so far, which is the interior. Well, what a huge difference it is inside the cabin here, particularly at the front, but just looking at the rear even, to start with, this leather is really nice and soft. It's actually done a really good job. Some nice perforation in the middle. There's bolstering. I mean, I'm talking about the rear seats of a dual cab ute here. They're comfortable themselves. The bolstering, the nice stitch work, everything's really good. You've got ISOFIX on the two outboard seats. And then you've also got inbuilt tethers as well. So if you've got a baby seat with ISOFIX, you fix them down there and then you can tether through a system, both into the center there. You don't need to install any other accessories to do that. That's really fantastic. And then we've got the air ventilation control in the middle here. We've got a 2.1 amp USB charging port, little bit of storage, some map pockets over here as well. You know, just a really well-rounded cabin. There's also a 4 kilo hook behind the passenger seat just for hanging stuff. And when I hop inside, it's comfortable. It's pretty good, you know. I've got enough headroom up the top here. I'm about 6 foot. Shoulder room's really good, you know, 3 blokes, you're probably going to be a little bit cozy. And the legroom down here, no worries at all, absolutely fine. So, you know, they've done a really good job. Probably feels like a little bit of a compressed SUV feeling. It has that SUV styling you'd find in Mazda SUVs, but it's in a dual cab Butte cabin. So really interesting. Now we'll check out the front. And up front, well, it mostly looks like any Mazda SUV you'd find on the showroom floor. So the steering wheel's pretty similar, definitely the same sort of design down the center console here, and then these air vents and these little dash trims with the leather up there. All feels really well put together, really solid, some nice quality to it. Obviously this infotainment system, well, that's shared technology between Isuzu and Mazda. It's not the system you'd find in a normal Mazda, but the idea behind this is 9 inches wide, really big, easy to use. You don't need to have a fiddly dial or anything you might get sand trapped into. It's just touch on the screen. Now, something interesting we found out, specs are obviously yet to be confirmed, but it seems like it has wireless Apple CarPlay, so for sure this would be one of the only dual cab Buttes on the market with wireless Apple CarPlay. Also has Android Auto, mirror casting, Bluetooth, all that normal kind of stuff. Now on the steering wheel, feels really nice in the hands actually. It's got a soft leather here. We've got adaptive cruise control, so we talked about safety systems. Well, it has AEB, adaptive cruise control, there's steering assist through the lane keeping. Also have blind spot monitoring in the side mirrors that goes off, so your whole gamut of things can be accessed here, as well as your stereo controls, and then dual zone climate control down here on the center console. Just, you know, nice little toggle switches there. Heated seats, 2-way, electric seats for the driver. Now this is what's really nice, is this seat's actually really comfortable, but it has full electric adjustment, height adjustment, obviously sliding adjustment, and there's tilt and reach on the steering wheel as well. You know, for a dual cab Ute, this is one of the most comfortable cabins I've sat in, absolutely. You know, the seat feels really well put together, it's really comfortable, but also just the amount of adjustment that's available. So first impressions for this new BT-50 is that this is a monumentally huge leap forward for this new model. Absolutely in appearance outside, but particularly inside as well. Now, of course, we're not able to drive it yet, but just in terms of how it presents, ergonomics, this is really, really going to move the game along. We can't wait to drive it, and we'll sure be able to do that very soon towards the end of this year.